Today we're going to talk about the angle addition postulate and some applications of the postulate. So the first thing we want to talk about is, what is the angle addition postulate? Well, in simplified terms, it means that if I take this small angle and this small angle, I can add them together to make the bigger angle, so long as they share a side. But officially, we word it as, if D is in the interior of angle ABC, then the measure of angle ABD added to the measure of angle DBC is equal to the measure of angle ABC. Alright, so now we're going to use the angle addition postulate in order to solve a few problems. So we have a picture here that we're going to use for problems numbers 1 and 2, and I will be color coding this. So I'm going to use blue, red, and purple. I'm going to use blue and red for the small angles. So I'm going to highlight ABD. And I'm going to use purple for the largest angle, because in additive color, blue plus red equals purple. So that's how I'm going to color code this. So problem number 1 says that if the measure of angle ABD, that's the one I coded blue, is equal to 48 degrees, and the measure of angle DBC is 78 degrees, we want to find the measure of angle ABC. So in this problem, I do have the two smaller angles, and I'm looking for the largest angle. So all I have to do in this instance is add 48 to 78, and I will get a total of 126. So the measure of angle ABC is 126 degrees. Number 2, if the measure of angle DBC is 74 degrees and the measure of angle ABC is 119 degrees, they want us to find the measure of angle ABD. So I am given the largest angle and one of the smaller angles, so my goal is to find the other smaller angle. To do that, I'm going to take 119 degrees and subtract 74 degrees, which will give me a difference of 45 degrees. So the measure of angle ABD is 45 degrees. Number 3, if the measure of angle PQR is 141 degrees, and it looks like PQR is going to be our largest angle, so PQR, find each measure. We are then given the PQS, so I'm going to go ahead and label that one a different color. And they also give us SQR. So I'm going to label that my third color. I'm going to keep visualizing these this way. Now the first thing I need to do in any problem that I'm given in this class is go ahead and make a list of the given information, which I already know. So if we look at our picture here, we know that the measure of angle PQS is represented by the expression 13x plus 4. And then we have the measure of SQR, so the measure, and that's going to be represented by 10x minus 1. And then, of course, we are given that the measure of angle PQR is going to be 141. Okay. And then we do want to make sure we have our equation as well. So we're going to go ahead and say that the measure of angle PQS added to the measure of angle SQR is going to be equal to the measure of angle PQR. So that's the equation we're going to need to use to solve for x. So we've done our list, we've done our formula. Now it's time for our substitution. So PQS was given to us as 13x plus 4. And then we're going to add our 10x minus 1, because that is what was given to us for SQR. And then we're going to set that equal to 141, because that is the measure of angle PQR. So we're going to add our like terms. So we have 13x plus 10x, and that's going to give us 23x And then we have positive 4 and negative 1, which is going to give us positive 3. And we're going to set that equal to 141. Now we do need to go ahead and get all of our constants together on one side of the equation. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. And I'm left with 23x is equal to 138. Then in order to get our x by itself, we need to get rid of the 23. And the way we're going to do that is by dividing both sides by 23. So that is going to be 138 divided by 23. And the answer is going to end up being 6. So 138 divided by 23 leaves us as x equals 6. So we're going to go ahead and put that on the spot right here. And then we need to use that information in order to determine the measure of our other angles. So I'm going to start with SQR because 10 is easier to multiply by than 13. So we have 10 times 6, and it's going to be minus 1. 10 times 6 is 60, minus 1 is 59 degrees. Now, in order to find the measure of angle PQS, there are two strategies we can utilize. Option 1 is to substitute in the x. So that would give us 13 times 6 plus 4. And option 2 is to do it a subtractive style, because now we have the 141 degree angle and we can subtract the 59 degree angle to find the remaining angle. But if we run it through a calculator, we'll find that 13 times 6 plus 4 is 82. 141 minus 59 is still 82. So it doesn't actually matter which strategy you use. As long as you end up at 82 degrees, we're going to be okay. All right, so number 4 is the measure of angle DEF is 7x plus 4, and the measure of angle DEG is 5x plus 1, and the measure of angle GEF is 23. They want us to find each measure. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and make sure I color code my angles. You do not have to do this, but it is easier to see where everything goes if it is color coded. So DEG is this angle. And then we have GEF, which is this angle right here. Okay. And then we have DEF, which is this outside angle. Then we are still going to list our givens. So let's see, givens. All right. Our givens are that the measure of angle DEF is going to be equal to 7x plus 4, or minus. The measure of angle DEG is going to be 5x plus 1. And then finally, the measure, the final piece of information that we're given is that the measure of angle GEF is going to be just 23 degrees. We also know that based on our angle addition postulate that we can say the measure of angle DEG added to the measure of angle FEG is going to be equal to the measure of angle DEF. So that's the equation we're going to use to solve for x. Doing the substitution, we have the measure of angle DEG, which was given to us as 5x plus 1. And then we're going to add to that GEF, which is 23, and that is going to be equal to DEF, which is 7x plus 4. And then we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So we have 5x plus 1 plus 23, which will give us 5x plus 24. Set that equal to 7x plus 4. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. And that is going to give me 24 on the left-hand side, and then equal to 2x plus 4. Subtract the 4 from both sides so that we have a balanced equation. And that's going to leave us with 20 is equal to 2x. Now the final step for finding x is that I want to divide both sides by 2. And so let's do that. And when I do that, I end up with 10 being equal to x, or x can be equal to 10, either way. Now 10 is fairly easy to multiply by, so I am going to just do that. So DEG is 5x, x being 10, plus 1, and that is going to be equal to 51 degrees, because 5 times 10 is 50, plus 1 is 51. And then we have DEF. All right. Which was 7x, with again x being 10, plus 4. And that is going to be equal to 74, because 7 times 10 is 70, plus 4 is 74 degrees. Make sure you put the degree symbol. Number 5, if the measure of angle JKM is equal to 43 degrees, the measure of angle MKL is 8x minus 20, and the measure of angle JKL is 10x minus 11, find each measure. So you can see I have already done the color coding here. So we have JKM is one of our smaller angles, MKL is one of our smaller angles, and JKL is our largest angle. So we're going to start by, again, making a list of givens, just like we do on every single problem. And one thing that we know is that the measure of angle JKM is equal to 43 degrees. And then we also know that the measure of angle MKL is going to be equal to 8x minus 20. And then we also know that the measure of angle JKL is 10x plus or minus 11. All right. We are going to write our equation because that's our list. So now we need our formula. So we know that the measure of angle JKM added to the measure of angle MKL is equal to the measure of angle JKL. Now we're going to do our substitution and solve for x. So we have 43 for JKM added to MKL, which is given to us as 8x minus 20. And that's going to be set equal to 10x minus 11. Looks like I have a typo here. So 10x minus 11. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is on the left-hand side, we are going to combine like terms. So 43 minus 20 is 23. So we end up with 8x plus 23, which is going to be set equal to 10x minus 11. Now we're going to get our x's all together on the same side. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 8x from both sides so that I can have all my variables together. That will leave me with 23 is set equal to 2x minus 11. Now I'm going to add 11 to both sides because I want my constants together and I want my variables together. And 23 plus 11 is 34. And that's going to be equal to 2x. Our next step is going to be to divide by 2. Divide by 2. And that gives us x equals 17. So 17 is equal to x. Now that we know the value of x, we're going to substitute it in for MKL and JKL. Again, we can do this one of two ways. JKL is going to be the easier one because we have 10 as what we're multiplying by. So we're going to go ahead and have 10 times 17. And that's going to be equal to 170. And then we are going to subtract 11. So that should give us 159 degrees. All right. So now that we know that JKL is 159 degrees, which is our bigger angle, we know that JKM is 43. So again, we have two options for how we can solve MKL. So again, option 1 for MKL is going to be the 8x, so 8 times 17 minus 20. Or we can do option 2, which again is subtractive, where we take the biggest angle, 159, and subtract the information we were given at the beginning, which is that JKM is 43 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and do 159 minus 43, and that is going to be equal to 116. If angle DEF is a straight angle and the measure of angle DEG is 23x minus 3, and the measure of angle GEF is 12x plus 8, find each measure. Well, first of all, we are basically given one of the measures. We are given that DEF is 180 degrees. That is what it means to be a straight angle. It forms a straight line. But for the rest of it, let's go ahead and color code and list our givens. On this problem, our givens are that the measure of angle DEF is going to be 180 degrees. And again, that's because we are told that it is a straight angle, which by default means that it is 180 degrees. And then we are told that the measure of angle DEG, the measure of angle DEG, DEG is going to be 23x minus 3. And finally, we have the measure of angle GEF is going to be equal to 12x plus 8. And then our formula. So for this angle, it is going to be the measure of angle DEG is going to be added to the measure of angle GEF, and that's going to give us the measure of angle DEF. So now that we've made our list of givens, we're going to go ahead and do our substitution. So we're going to say that 23x minus 3 added to 12x plus 8 is going to be equal to 180 degrees. We're going to combine like terms, so 23 plus 12 is going to give us 35. And minus 3 and plus 8, that's going to give me plus 5. That's still going to be equal to 180. I am then going to subtract 5 from both sides of the equation. And that's going to leave me with 35x is equal to 175. I need to divide by 35 on both sides. And that gives me a final answer of x equals, x equals 5. So I'm going to put that information right here. And again, I can use my strategy of multiplying in or doing 1 and then subtracting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find GEF, which is 12 times 5, which is 60, plus 8 gives us a grand total of 68 degrees for angle GEF. And then I'm going to do the subtractive method for angle DEG, because again, 23 is not very easy to multiply by. So what I'm going to say is that we have 180 minus the 68 degree, and that is going to give me 112 degrees. Again, it's important that you get into the habit of using your degree marking. Number 7, if the measure of angle TUW is equal to 5x plus 3, and the measure of angle WUV is 10x minus 5, and the measure of angle TUV is 17x minus 16, find each measure. All right, so let's go ahead and start by making our list of givens. The first one we're given is the measure of angle TUW. So measure angle TUW is going to be 5x plus 3. And then the measure of angle WUV is going to be set equal to 10x minus 5. And finally, the measure of angle TUV is going to be 17x minus 16. Okay. Finally, we need to include our equation or our formula. So we know that the measure of angle TUV added to the measure of angle WUV is going to be equal to the measure of the whole angle, which is TUV. And then we're going to do our substitution. So let's see, we have TUW is 5x plus 3, and we're going to add that to WUV, which is 10x minus 5, and that's going to be set equal to TUV, which is given to us as 17x minus 16. And we're going to combine like terms on the left-hand side here. So 5x plus 10x is 15x. And positive 3 and negative 5 is going to give us negative 2. And that's still going to be set equal to 17x minus 16. I'm going to subtract 15x from both sides. And that is going to give me, on the left-hand side, minus 2, negative 2. So that's negative 2 is equal to 2x minus 16. And now I need to move the 16 over to the other side. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. And that's going to give me 14 is equal to 2x. Then we divide both sides by 2, which will give us a final answer of 7. So x equals 7. Okay. So now we're going to do our substitution. Now I do think that if we do the TUW and UWV, those are fairly simple multiplications. So I'm going to do TUW, which is 5x, so 5 times 7, add 3, and that's going to be equal to 5 times 7 is 35, plus 3 is 38 degrees. And then we can do WUV, which is going to be 10x minus 5. So 10 times 7 minus 5. And 10 times 7 is 70, minus 5 is 65 degrees. Finally, TUV, there's a typo over here. I should say TUW. I apologize for that. Finally, TUV is TUW plus WUV. So that's going to be 38 plus 65. And that's going to be set equal to, it's going to be 103 degrees. Okay. Moving on to number 8. If measure of angle ECD is 6 less than 5 times the measure of angle BCE, and the measure of angle BCD is 162, find each measure. Now on this one, we do need to write our own expression. So if we read that first part again, ECD is 6 less than 5 times the measure of angle BCE. That tells us we are measuring ECD in terms of BCE. So when we list our givens, we are going to say that the measure of angle BCE is going to be equal to x. Given that information, we can say that the measure of angle ECD is going to be equal to 5 times and then 6 less than that. So 6 less is minus 6, then 5 times 5x. We are also given that the largest angle measure of angle BCD is going to be 162. And that's going to be degrees. Finally, our formula here is going to be that the measure of angle BCE is going to be added to the measure of angle ECD, and that will give us the measure of angle BCD. So now we're going to do our substitution. So BCE is going to be x. And we're going to add that to 5x minus 6 and set that equal to 162. We are going to need to combine like terms, so we end up with 6x minus 6, again set equal to 162. I'm going to add 6 to both sides of the equation, which will leave me with 6x is equal to 168. And then, of course, we need to isolate x. So to do so, we're going to divide both sides by 6, which will leave us with a final answer of x equals 28 degrees. 28, but because it is angle BCE, it is going to be a 28-degree angle because we said BCE is our reference point. Now, again, we can do one of two options. So we have option 1, which is going to be that we substitute in the 28. So we have 5 times 28 minus 6. Or we can have option 2, which is going to be 162, which is the biggest angle, subtract 28, which is the angle we just calculated. So if we do either of them, though, we will find out that the answer is 134. So either way, the answer is 134 degrees. You can use whichever option makes you feel most comfortable. All right, so number 9 is going to require me to do some color coding, and then number 10 also requires some color coding. So I am actually going to do separate color coding, probably. So let's start with number 9. It says, if the measure of angle ABF is 6x plus 26, and the measure of angle EBF is 2x minus 9, and ABE is 11x minus 31, find ABF. So first off, let's identify the largest angle that we're working with right now, which is ABE. And then our smaller angles are going to be ABF, which of course is the larger of the two, and EBF. So that helps us keep all of our data straight here. And then so we're going to make our list of givens. Remember, we need to list our givens on every problem every time. So the measure of angle ABF is given to us as 6x plus 26. And then our next angle, the measure of angle EBF, is set equal to 2x minus 9. Finally, for these three angles, we have the measure of angle ABE is going to be equal to 11x minus 31. Finally, the formula that we're going to use is the measure of angle ABF is added to the measure of angle EBF, which will give us the measure of angle ABE. So ABF is 6x plus 26, and we're going to add that to two x minus 9, and set that equal to 11x minus 31. We need to combine like terms on the left-hand side of this equation. So 6 plus 2 is 8x. 26 minus 9 is 17. That should be positive. And we're going to set that equal to 11x minus 31. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 8x from both sides of this equation, which will give us 17 is equal to 3x minus 31. We're going to add 31 to both sides. And that's going to end up giving us 48 is equal to 3x. Then I'm finally going to divide both sides by 3. And the final result there is going to be that x is equal to 16, or 16 is equal to x. Then we're going to go ahead and substitute that in for ABF. We only need to do the one angle this time. So for the measure of angle ABF is going to be 6x. So that's going to be 6 times 16. And then we are going to add 26. And we'll copy and paste. And I get 122. So the measure of angle ABF is 122 degrees. Last problem. If ray BD bisects angle CBE and ray BC is perpendicular to ray BA, and the measure of angle DBC is 3x plus 25, and DBE is 7x minus 19, they ask us to find measure of angle ABD. So we're going to start this one out again with some color coding, because this one has some interesting things going on. The first thing that we know is that BD bisects CBE. So we know that CBD and DBE are congruent. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that equal. It's not perfect, but it'll do. And we also know, because we're told right here, that the ray BC is perpendicular to ray BA. So that indicates to me that this angle here, ABC, is going to be a right angle. Oops. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but okay. So we're going to make our list of givens and do some color coding as well. So the biggest angle we're given here to work with is ABD. So I'm going to go ahead and make that indication. We have ABD. And then we have DBC. Here, let me use the red one for that. Makes sense. DBC. And then we're given DBE, which again is the other half of angle CBE. And we're already given that ABC is perpendicular, so it's a 90-degree angle. So let's go ahead and break this down. So we start by making our list of givens. Since ray BD bisects angle CBE, that tells me that the angle DBC is congruent to angle DBE, which does tell us that they have the same measure. So the measure of angle DBC is equal to the measure of angle DBE. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put in the other stuff we know, which is that the measure of angle ABC is 90 degrees. So that's very important. We also know that the measure of angle DBC is going to be represented as 3x plus 25. And we know that the measure of angle DBE is represented by the expression 7x minus 19. We're going to write our equation. So we're going to have the measure of angle DBC plus the measure of angle ABC will be equal to the measure of angle ABD, which is what we are looking for in the long run. So first we're going to go ahead and solve for x, and the way we are going to do that is by setting these two angle measures equal to each other. So we have 3x plus 25, and we're setting that equal to 7x minus 19. All right, so unfortunately I lost my mic right here. What we're going to be seeing is that I'm subtracting 3x from both sides, which is going to leave me with 25 is equal to 4x minus 19. And then I'm going to add 19 to both sides. That will give me 44 is equal to 4x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Which gives me 11 equals x. Now I'm going to substitute the 11 into the expression for angle DBC and add it to 90 degrees, which is the measure of angle ABC, which is going to give me my final answer for a measure of angle ABD, which I copied and pasted into Desmos to get a measure of 104 degrees. So that's how you apply the angle addition postulate. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, and I'll see you later. Be safe.